Where is Obama and all of this stuff right now?
That's a great question, too. You know, Obama, I never understood why Obama was always so untouchable. First of all, one of the things the CIA loves, I say this all the time, they love when a new president is elected and he doesn't have any intelligence experience because they just suck him right in, right? They make him one of the guys. And Obama was one of those guys who thought he was smarter than everybody else in the room. And so, you know, people like Brennan were able to manipulate him so that Obama would make decisions and he would think that they were his ideas. And in fact, they were the ideas of people like John Brennan that he had surrounded himself with. And I don't know why there's this weird, inexplicable nostalgia for the Obama years. In my life, the Obama years were a living hell. I lost everything thanks to Barack Obama. Everything. They even confiscated my pension. That's why I'm asking President Trump for a pardon. Yeah, it wasn't just I did 23 months with a bunch of pedophiles.
You lost your pension?
20 years of proud government service.
You lost that entire pension?
I'm going to have to work till the day I die.
Oh, my God. And is it true with the whole you try to get a pardon and you were told it's $2 million?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
It's the very end of the first Trump administration. I had a friend who had a relationship with Rudy Giuliani. And so I called him and I said, hey, can you get me with Giuliani? I want to ask if he can help me get a pardon. So he put me in touch. I talked to one of Giuliani's, major domos. And he said, well, we're going to be in Washington next week. Why don't we meet at the Trump Hotel? I said, great. I'm going to be with my attorney. And my attorney, Bruce Fein, was Deputy Attorney General under Ronald Reagan. He's a serious guy, constitutional scholar. So I said, it'll be me with my attorney. I said, how about 2:00? And they said, oh, Rudy's not good by 2:00. It's going to have to be earlier. So I said, okay. So we met at like 11. I go to the Trump, and Giuliani's there with two other people, and I'm there with my lawyer, and we're sitting there, and Giuliani says, hey, how about those Jets? And I said, yeah, I'm a Steelers fan, but yeah, the Jets are pretty good this year. Okay. He said, you a Mets fan? I said, nah, yeah, I'm from Pittsburgh originally, so I'm a Pirates fan, but I follow the Nationals too. Yeah, it's going to be a good year for the Mets. I'm like, all right, what are you talking about? So I said, well, Mr. Mayor, there's this issue I wanted to raise of a pardon. And he goes like this. He goes, anybody know where the pisser is? And he stands up and he walks away. I said, what just happened? His guy says, you never talked to Rudy about a pardon. You talked to me about a pardon, and I talked to Rudy about a pardon. And I said, okay, that's fine. And he says, Rudy's going to want $2 million for the pardon. And I laughed. I said, first of all, I don't have $2 million. I'll never have $2 million. But even if I did, why would I spend $2 million to recover a $770,000 pension? And I look at my lawyer, and he's like, we got up, thank you for meeting us, and we walked out. That night, a buddy of mine had a book release party at the Republican National Committee. So I go up to the RNC, and there's another whistleblower there, TSA whistleblower. He's a friend of mine, Robert McLean, awesome guy. And he says to me, just to make conversation, how was your day? And I said, oh, how was my day? Listen to this. So I tell him, and he says, that's a crime. That's a felony. I said, yeah, of course it is. But what am I going to do? I'm stuck. I don't have $2 million. And he said, did you call the FBI? And I said, no, the FBI is not going to give a shit about Rudy Giuliani trying to shake me down for $2 million. Like 4 or 5 days pass. I happen to be in my lawyer's office, and my cell phone rings, and it was either Mike Schmidt or Eric Schmidt. I think it was Mike Schmidt from the New York Times calls me. And he says, a little bird told me that Rudy Giuliani tried to get $2 million from you for a pardon. And I said, oh, man, that Robert. I said, he was pretty upset when I mentioned to him that I had this meeting. And he said, well, we're actually doing a story because Rudy's trying to get $2 million from a whole bunch of people who are seeking pardons. Would you go on the record? And I said to my lawyer, I said, Bruce, will I go on the record? And he said, go on the record. You have nothing to hide. So I went on the record. Well, it was a front page story on the New York Times. And funny enough, Giuliani's response was, I never met this man. I've never heard of this man. None of this is true. And the New York Times called me for a response. And I said, he forgot that we took a picture together that morning. So I sent them the picture. And then they put a little box. And they said, the New York Times has seen documentary proof that the meeting took place. And then, like a year later, 2 years later, I get a call from Noelle Dunphy, who had been his business development director at Giuliani Partners. He told her the day that the New York Times article came out, that damn CIA guy ratted me out to the New York Times. And I said, well, there it is.
It's interesting because at
Giuliani,
one point...
pardons for sale. Yep. And, that's me. But it was a front page New York Times article.
At one point, this guy was...
He was...
one of the most powerful. Could have been the king of New York.
And universally respected.
Yeah. He could have been a president. The ideas he had was so ahead of his time.
Oh, yeah. And he really did clean up New York.
Oh, he was he was great. What New York needs today is a Mayor Giuliani.
Yeah.
It needs somebody like that to clean up. But
that's right.
It's a shame when it comes down to all these pardons, these stories, you know. We had the Blagojevich.
Sure.
On.
I wrote him a letter when he was in prison.
Did you?
Yeah. I felt bad for the poor guy.
It was
14 years for a crime that was never consummated.
Yeah, that's right. With the whole Obama. And that was Obama's doing.
Obama. Exactly.
Yeah, Obama's doing. And he's out now. He's out now. He was on Tucker as well. We had him on. We've had him on multiple times. And he's been able to tell his stories. Documentary is actually pretty interesting. I don't know if you saw his documentary.
No, I haven't seen it.
Very good documentary. It's old, but it's a very, very good documentary.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Kiriakou, former CIA officer. Please find me on Minect. We have a lot to talk about. CIA, FBI, DOD, torture, secret prisons, international renditions. Maybe you or your child want to apply for a job at the CIA and are looking for some tips. Let me know. There's a lot we can talk about. You pick the subject, we'll make it happen. Again, it's on Minect. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.